Hello and welcome to this live interaction with me, Ashish Parekh, and today we are discussing about TikTok and all the complications that the Chinese company has been facing all across the world. Yes, without a doubt, the company is the video sharing platform is by far one of the most popular across the world, but at the same time, it has run into privacy issues not just in one country or in one place, but several places across the globe, and that has meant that in country like India, it has been banned, and also an impending ban in the United States is something that the app is looking at. But it has one opportunity. The opportunity for it to escape a ban is by selling its operations, US operations, to a US company, and that is something that the Trump administration has, that's the option that the Trump administration has given to the company. Now, ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, has been in talk to sell TikTok's US business to potential buyers, including Microsoft and Oracle, since President Donald Trump's, threats. In fact, that like a lot of people are actually calling it. However, there is some sort of a problem as far as this deal is concerned, as Beijing has now expressed its opposition to the sale of TikTok's US operations by its Chinese owner ByteDance. Now, there is a lot of confusion about all of this. How is the Chinese government actually involved in the affairs of a private company and its operations in the United States? Well, the reason why the Chinese officials are asking TikTok to remain banned instead of selling itself is because they believe that a forced sale would make both ByteDance and also China appear weak in the face of pressure from the United States. And this is something that top sources have quoted to a lot of leading websites. And this is something that has been in discussion for a long time now. Also, ByteDance, however, has come out and said that the Chinese government has never suggested anything, and it also has never interfered in its sales or acquisition, especially given the fact that the Trump administration has in fact given out an executive order giving the ultimatum to the Chinese company. However, Beijing also has now come out and said that it firmly opposes Trump's executive orders, and on August 28, Beijing went a step ahead. China decided to take matters into its own hand and made a list of new guidelines which say that all of these technologies that TikTok could possibly transfer to a US government will end up requiring Chinese government's approval before they are exported to any non-Chinese firm, especially in the United States. So this has created a stalemate as far as TikTok's sale is concerned, and with the deadline fast approaching, this is becoming a major issue for the Chinese company. To speak to us more about cyber laws and these acquisition problems that TikTok is facing, and also the questions about user privacy, I am joined in by our guest for the day, Rangnath Mysore, who is clearly someone who has been tracking this development for a long time now. So first of all, Rangnath, thank you so much for your time. And before we start talking about the complications, let's just talk about what exactly is the scenario as far as TikTok is concerned, and what exactly landed TikTok in this particular situation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me in this talk. So first, the basic thing what we would like to understand is that as far as cyber law is concerned, as we know,
they have come up with the privacy law. One is in the Europe, GDPR has been in place, as well as in US, California privacy laws in place. As far as India is concerned, we also placed the privacy bill, which is going to pass, and the Sri Krishna committee has been provided. So the fundamental thing is how these apps, like TikTok or any other app, how they are handling these privacy issues. If you see, the threat is for the country, right? So that's where some of the countries went ahead and banned TikTok, giving the security reasons, where they are tracking the privacy of individuals, as well as there is a threat for the security part, right? Security of the country is when there is a threat, that's where TikTok is taking a hit. And as you rightly called out, in the recent developments which happened, the US government has been asked to sell their operations of TikTok to US, and that's fast approaching, mid of September. That was the timeline which was given. So the primary focus would be on the privacy issues, which they are handling, right?
Yeah, true. And also the one thing that we have to note as of now is that the Chinese government has played it clever here. Now what they have done is they've added the list of technologies, like for example TikTok's recommendation algorithm, also to the list of technologies that needs to be approved by the Chinese government before it is transferred to a non-Chinese firm. Now, speaking about cyber laws, do you think all of these things also come into the picture, given the fact that user privacy is at risk here, and also given the fact that you've got a lot of complications as far as technology is concerned? Because let's for a second shift the focus to India, because in India the major focus, the major flashpoint was the fact that this was owned by a Chinese firm, and that the Chinese the Chinese firm was giving out information to the Chinese government. So do you think making some tweaks, making some changes to the technology would make the user privacy much more secure, or is it again an eyewash, given the fact that all they want to do is that transfer the powers from a Chinese company to a non-Chinese company? What do you think is the politics that's happening here?
See, one thing what I would tell is, when we would talk about the algorithm and making the changes, for example, I'll tell you, TikTok is a simple video making app, right?
Yeah.
Suppose when I download TikTok, it will ask for the permission to access my microphone, right?
Yeah.
Tell me something, in this app, when the app is doing a small video, why they need to access my photos or my microphones, etc., right? This is one thing. And second thing, yes, definitely they can tweak with the algorithm and the big data analysis. There are quite a lot of improvements and advancement happened in the technology. Like facial recognition, these are mapping the user to the location.
Yeah.
There are various other factors. So when someone allows these things, when I am giving consent from my own end in order to access all this, then what is the security part? What is the how they are using the data? That is unaware. That is unclear, right?
Yes.
So even though they tweak this algorithm or the privacy policy and privacy laws, but at the end of the day, nobody will know where it is being used, how it is being used.
Yeah.
That's the threat what we are talking about.
Exactly. Also, I also wanted to raise the question on the Personal Data Protection Act or bill, which I'm pretty sure you're aware about, and is also stuck in the parliament as far as India is concerned. So how much of a role does this also play, given the fact that all of these intermediaries, I assume even TikTok can be considered an intermediary, given the fact that it is collecting data and, ads are being targeted using that particular data. So how much of a role does something like that, play, given the fact that once we have a bill like that, that would mean that users could be much more confident about using all of these applications, and also at the same time the governments could also be happy, given the fact that they'll be getting the required information without really intruding into the privacy of users. So how much of a role does the PDPA, which I believe it is popularly known as, also play into all of this?
Yeah, once this privacy bill is in place, definitely the intermediaries will have a bigger role. See, when data comes, there are two components. One is the data collector and second is the data processor. So who is collecting the data and who is processing the data, right?
Yeah.
So the person who is collecting the data should definitely, he has to convey to the user from whom the data is being collected, for what reason they are collecting the data. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is, they can't collect the data more than what is required. Like as I said, accessing microphone or accessing photos. If it is not required, then they should restrict only to the limited data which they have to get it. That's one thing. The other thing is opt-in and opt-out. That is something which, suppose in case if I have given my data to certain places and at a later point in time I want to opt out, then the intermediaries will have a responsibility to remove the data.
Yeah.
As well as there are some stringent ways of handling data audits. This is something which is not heard so far. When we say audits, it's more of a financial audit, what everyone look into.
Exactly.
Data audit is something which will be coming for the intermediaries in a bigger span of action.
Yeah.
So at a high level, whoever is not following these norms, and the penalties are also used. Like in GDPR, it's 4% of the revenue. Not on the profit, it's 4% of the revenue. Something similar to that in PDPA is being proposed.
Yeah.
And definitely, data being everything. Today, information and data is money in other ways, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So in order to handle these data, there need to be policies which need to be adopted, and there need to be a data protection officer to be appointed by these companies. They have to look after. And as of today, there are grievance officers who has to be mentioned mandatorily in their website. So going forward, this will be the way forward for handling data of any intermediary for that matter.
Yeah. Now, that was the discussion about PDPA. Of course, that would mandate not just the intermediary to share the data, but also it would mean that users will have a control about which data of theirs is being shared with the government. So that is an interesting way to look at it. But also, one thing that we need to discuss at this point in time is what rights do the Chinese government have to, to speak on the behalf of ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, of course, about whether they should be selling to a non-Chinese firm or not, because of course they're trying to arm twist ByteDance into making sure that they do not really sell their operations, because obviously the politics are into play. But in the framework of law, is it really possible for a government to decide the private affairs of an intermediary? Because TikTok again is an intermediary. Yes, it has its origin in Beijing, it has its origin in China, but having said that, the Chinese government cannot really dictate what a private company wants to do with its operations, does it?
Right, you are absolutely right. One cannot dictate, but when it comes to the sovereignty and interest of the country, suppose at the end of the day, it's all about business, right? TikTok is also a business app.
Yeah.
Suppose now if their revenue is going down, they may decide, it's purely their call, whether they want to sell their operations, part of their operations in US or any other country, they may come out of it. But as far as law is concerned, in case if they are operating individually without selling, definitely they have to abide by this stringent laws. That's the big question, how this Chinese government will look into that and how they'll come out with the possible solution for this, or how US will be handling. We have to just wait and see that. But when you say the question as far as law is concerned, yes, whatever law is being prescribed for the law of the land, that need to be followed stringently.
So thank you, Dr. Mysore, for joining us on this live interaction. And also, China is now willing to make use of the revisions that they have made to their particular guidelines to make sure that the changes that they made on August 28 can be used to delay any sort of a deal that is reached by ByteDance. For example, now ByteDance is willing to transfer its operations in the United States to some other company. Chinese government has made sure that they can somehow stop it by saying that, okay, you need to get our approval first before you shift your technologies or your operations to any other company. So this is one game of the Chinese government that it's clearly trying to play to make sure that the control remains in Beijing, and also at the same time Beijing does not look like a weaker party as far as this entire Cold War involving tech is going on across the world. But the question that all of this clearly raises is whether Chinese government's arrogance will take down TikTok, because TikTok is clearly in a mood to sell out its US operations and make sure that it remains afloat. But the Chinese government wants its pride to be over everything, and that could possibly lead to the end of TikTok. Do let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and also do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News9 Digital. Thanks for watching.